getting arrested, realizing you f***ed up, and now you're going to deal with some serious consequences.
Yeah.
That's where you kind of get all that emotion out. Once that's done, now you're just like bored and waiting to get out.
So even though most influencers live lives that most of us would dream of, for some of them their past is drastically different from their lives now. And in today's video, I'm going to be lifting the curtain on some people that had difficult or even problematic pasts, and if they have grown from that experience or not. Because obviously just because someone had a problematic past does not mean that they're not able to learn and grow from it. Hey, what's up, IOers? It's Mackenzie here, and today I'm going to be breaking down the top 10 influencers with problematic pasts. But before I get into it, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell to never miss an upload. Starting out with number 10, we have Jeff Wittek. So if you're a fan of the Vlog Squad, you probably know who Jeff Wittek is. But what you might not know is that he actually used to do some pretty bad stuff back in the day before he got famous. And when he was just 21, he actually went to jail for a few months on charges of dealing and possession of drugs, with his bond coming out to $61,000. And Jeff is very open about his past, often making it the butt of some jokes in David's vlogs, as well as speaking openly about some of the negative encounters he had while behind bars, telling Dirty Dom on his podcast about the fights, the struggle to abide by the rules, and getting bored because he was in a cell all day. But saying that even though it was hard at times, he used humor to get through it, and he is thankful for the life lessons that he learned through the process. In at number 9, Mike Majlak. So Mike is a host on Logan Paul's Impulsive podcast, and he adds an edgy touch to the show, frequently speaking about his rocky past and how he used to be a degenerate, in his own words. Viewers got to learn more about this as Mike recently released a book called The Fifth Vital, where he described in detail some of his darkest moments before gaining internet fame. In the book, he writes about his past as a drug dealer and how he was addicted to narcotics for 8 years after trying it as a teenager. He speaks how during this time he would do illegal and despicable things to feed his addiction. And even though he speaks about being ashamed of his past, he's grateful for the lessons that it taught him, and through his book he is hoping to be a beacon of light and support for those who are currently struggling, so that they can see there is a light at the end of the tunnel. In at number 8, Jeremy Meeks. So Jeremy Meeks is better known as the hot felon that gained a ton of recognition online after his mugshot was posted on Facebook. And now because of the recognition, he is a model and an influencer. But during the time he was getting praised, a lot of people were debating if he should be getting all this praise from women, as it seemed like women were overlooking the fact that he was a convict who had went to jail at one point, just because he was good looking. And if you're wondering, he went to jail for possessing a semi-automatic pistol. But since he was released in 2016, he has made a huge change with his life, as I said before, and he has since found God and a new career as a fashion model. Up at number 7, Shane Dawson. Shane Dawson has had a lot of controversy around his name because of some of the things he has done in his past. The main issue that people have was that back in the day he used to dress up in blackface to portray black characters in his sketches. As well, he would often play a character he called Shaniqua, and he would portray harmful racist stereotypes while doing so. However, Shane has come out about this many times in his career and apologized for his past actions, including in a YouTube video he uploaded a few years ago. And even though his actions in the past were problematic, he seems to have really grown and changed and is regretful of his past action. And it seems like the YouTube community has forgiven him for his past as well. In at number 6, Logan Paul. So Logan Paul was involved in potentially one of the most problematic scandals in YouTube history when he filmed the body of a person who had passed away while he was in Japan back in 2017. After this, Logan faced a ton of backlash from his fans and fellow YouTubers, as well as getting kicked out of YouTube Preferred and getting dropped by a bunch of his sponsors. And after he made an apology for the situation, he decided to take a long break from YouTube. And now he's back and arguably thriving on YouTube again. And he has acknowledged his problematic actions in the past and seems to have learned from it. Halfway through number 5, Jeffree Star. So Jeffree Star is not only a massive creator on YouTube, but he has a long past of internet stardom, getting his start with fame on MySpace, where he was one of the top people on the site. And back in those days, Jeffree thrived on outrage and shock value, and said things that were racist and problematic in the past. And more recently, things have come out about his past with controversial musician Dahvie Vanity and Vanity's alleged abuse of minors. And although Jeffree has apologized for his racism and problematic MySpace behavior, as well as addressed his issues with Dahvie Vanity with Chris Hansen in an interview, the internet still seems to be torn on if Jeffree has changed from his past or if he's still problematic today. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on this one below. And at number 4, Nicole Arbour. So I'm sure we all know about Nicole Arbour, as she gained most of her internet fame when she released her video Dear Fat People back in 2015, and it got maybe the most backlash of a YouTube video that I had ever seen at that time. And of course, people were quick to point out how it was incredibly harmful and unnecessary the video was. And of course, people were quick to point out how it was an incredibly harmful and unnecessary video that was not going to help the world in literally any way. So I went to do some research to see if she had changed since then, or if she has the same views that she had back then. And judging by how many dislikes a lot of her recent videos have now, I'm assuming she's not really evolved in her views and is still trolling for clicks online. So in at number 3, we have Tana Mongeau. So this next one about Tana is a little different, as it's not about her past actions, but the action of her parents, and how her troublesome childhood has negatively affected her life. Tana has spoken about her problematic parents since her early days on YouTube, when she describes dropping out of school and getting a job so that she could move into her own place away from her parents. She also spoke more about it in her MTV No Filters Christmas special, where she opened up that the holidays are terrible for her because of her strained relationship with her parents, saying in the show, "I grew up in Vegas with 2 parents who were completely unfit to be parents, and I still in so many ways just want nothing to do with them." Then she continued that she does not know who to spend her holidays with, as she doesn't feel like she has any real family outside of her friend group. And now thankfully she has her friends that feel like family to be by her side. Up at number 2, Danielle Bregoli. So Danielle Bregoli, aka Bad Baby, gained her 15 minutes of fame after her and her mother appeared on the Dr. Phil show in 2016, with her mother being concerned over Danielle's problematic and out of control behavior, and her mother claiming she was ready to turn Danielle over to the authorities, with her mother also detailing how Danielle had stolen her credit cards and cash, even purchasing a stripper pole with the money. And then of course when she went on Dr. Phil, the audience was not very fond of her, and this led her to say her now infamous line, "Catch me outside, how about that?" So this is another one that's hard to say if she's grown at all from her past, but considering she still gets in a lot of drama with her fellow musicians, she still might have some growing up to do. And in at number 1, the Fine Brothers. So this one is another one that's a little different, but this past action by the Fine Brothers had the ability to completely change the nature of YouTube and hurt potentially thousands of creators in the process. Basically, back in 2015, after all the success the brothers had reached on their YouTube channel, particularly because of their reaction series, they decided to attempt to trademark the term react, with the trademark covering an ongoing series of programs and webisodes via the internet in a field of observing and interviewing various groups of people. Then the brothers went on to defend this by saying the creators that wanted to do reaction videos could easily obtain a license from them. But after a ton of outrage online, the brothers thankfully decided to apologize and rescind their application. The backlash here was because people did not believe the brothers deserved ownership over the React genre, as it's not an original idea by any means, and they were not even the first ones to popularize the genre. Then others were very concerned over how this could have been a flimsy monetary scheme that would give them control over a huge portion of YouTube. Then others were very concerned over how this could have been a slimy monetary scheme that would give them control over a huge portion of YouTube. And the fact that they started to file takedowns for other creators' React videos during this time also really hurt their rep, with them losing over 500,000 subscribers because of this whole scandal. Okay guys, so that's all from me today. Please let me know your thoughts down below, or any you think could be in a part 2, because I know there are more, but for some reason this was so hard for me to research, and I really scraped the barrel with a few of those, as you could probably tell. But before I go, I'm going to shout out a few comments from my influencers that cannot stop lying video. So Anert said, "Influencers, I'm not lying. Us. Looking at all the evidence that clearly shows they are lying. Eye emoji." Sure, you're not. Literally, like at this point, some of these people just need to own up to it or just stop talking about whatever it is, because it's just getting ridiculous at this point. Like, we know the secret. Just stop lying. Then Athalia said, sorry, I hope I'm not pronouncing that wrong, "I love Natalia Taylor as much as I love InformOverload. Same, I am so obsessed with her. I've been watching her for years. She's amazing." Then Nicholas said, "I've heterochromia. People either notice right away or like 3 years later go, wait, I've never been bullied for it, but people do want to be oppressed so badly." Thanks so much for sharing that. I'm really happy to hear you've never been bullied for it, and she was lying about that part. And I totally have to agree with this. I actually knew a guy in university that had heterochromia, and I knew him for months before he actually ended up telling me, because I just didn't even notice on my own. So yeah. Anyways guys, that's all from me today. Please make sure to like and subscribe down below if you're new here to never miss one of our uploads. And follow the IO team on our socials to be kept up to date with our lives. Thanks so much for watching guys. I hope you're all staying safe, and I'll see you in the next one.